1.9 million Malaysians register for COVID-19 vaccinations. Pilgrimage this Hajj season, pending approval from Saudi Arabian government. Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us. You're watching News at 10 with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, 1.9 million Malaysians have already registered for the COVID-19 immunization program so far. However, Senior Minister for Security, Dato Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the number is relatively low compared to the overall population of adult Malaysians. Commenting further, Dato Sri Ismail Sabri emphasized on the importance of receiving the vaccines to curb COVID-19 infections. He said some countries like Saudi Arabia has already made it compulsory for anyone who wishes to enter their country to perform Hajj or Umrah to be vaccinated first.
Selain MySejahtera, pendaftaran juga boleh dibuat menerusi laman web www.vaccinecovid.gov.my atau terus ke hospital dan klinik kesihatan awam berdekatan yang akan mula dibuka esok 5 Mac 2021 atau melalui talian hotline yang bakal diumumkan oleh MOSTI dalam masa terdekat.
The senior minister also reminded the public to not be wary of any parties offering COVID-19 vaccines and to report the matter immediately to the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MOSTI, or the Health Ministry. Well, meanwhile, those who are permitted to enter Sabah and Sarawak must undergo COVID-19 swab tests 3 days prior to their departure date. Dato Sri Ismail Sabri said only those tested negative and have no symptoms will be allowed to enter. Dato Sri Ismail Sabri said they are also not required to undergo mandatory quarantine if the swab test result is negative.
Walau bagaimanapun, individu daripada Sabah ke Sarawak atau ke Labuan perlu menjalani swab test dalam tempoh 3 hari sebelum berlepas. Perjalanan rentas daerah seperti saya sebutkan atas kehendak Kerajaan Negeri Sabah masih lagi tidak dibenarkan.
The COVID-19 screening cost for Sarawakians will be borne by the Sarawak state government while non-Sarawakians will bear the cost themselves. The senior minister also said the inter-district travel ban in Sabah and Sarawak remains in effect despite both states put under the Conditional Movement Control Order, the CMCO. Well, the Health Ministry reported 2,063 new COVID-19 cases, an increase from yesterday's 1,745 infections. Its Director General, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah, said this brings the cumulative number of cases to 307,943, with 23,161 being active cases. Well, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said 9 of the new infections were imported cases, while the remaining were local transmissions. Selangor reported the highest number of new cases at 630, followed by 361 cases in Sarawak and 337 in Pulau Pinang. He said 193 patients are currently being treated in intensive care units with 99 on ventilator support. He also said 5 patients succumbed to the virus in the last 24 hours, pushing the death toll to 1,153. The Health DG also said the total recovered cases rose to 283,629 after another 2,922 patients fully recovered and discharged from hospitals. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry identified 14 new clusters while declaring the end for 11 others. As such, the number of clusters registered so far is 1,177, with 490 of them being active. Well, some 800 Fire and Rescue Department personnel in Pulau Pinang will receive the COVID-19 Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine jabs in the first phase of the National Immunization Program. The State Fire and Rescue Department Director, Sadon Mokhtar, said this includes officers, personnel and civil servants in the Administration Department.
Dengan menerimanya suntikan vaksin ni, ia akan memberikan semangat yang lebih kepada semua pegawai bomba untuk melaksanakan tugas dengan lebih cemerlang lagi. Kerana kami memang berhadapan dengan risiko-risiko yang mana apabila kerja-kerja penyelamatan dibuat, kami tidak mengetahui keadaan mangsa yang kami selamatkan. So dengan adanya vaksin COVID-19 ni, saya percaya semangat pegawai bomba akan menjadi lebih kuat untuk melaksanakan tugas-tugas dengan lebih pantas dan juga cemerlang.
A total of 41 officers received the vaccination jab, while the remaining staff will be inoculated according to the schedule issued by the District Health Office. Well, 6 university hospitals have been entrusted to serve as vaccine administration centres, PPVs, to assist the government in implementing the national COVID-19 immunisation programme. Higher Education Minister Dato Sri Dr. Noraini Ahmad said all of the institutions have received their supply of the vaccine in stages since 25th February, with University Putra Malaysia Hospital, HPUPM, to be the last to receive from 15 March. Dato Sri Dr. Noraini said apart from HPUPM, other university hospitals involved include University Teknologi Mara Medical Specialist Centre, UITMMSC, University Malaya Medical Centre, Chancellor Tuanku Muhriz Hospital and Sultan Ahmad Shah Medical Centre at IIUM. She further explained that the Health Ministry only allowed these facilities to serve as PPVs and not vaccine storage centres due to the shortage of pharmaceutical freezers. She said only 2 university hospitals would receive the freezers to store the vaccine.
Pihak KKM dimaklumkan akan membekalkan 3 buah peti sejuk top loading kepada SASMEC at IIUM dan juga 1 peti sejuk top loading dan 4 buah cool box kepada HPUPM pada bulan Mac nanti, insya-Allah, bagi tujuan simpanan vaksin masing-masing.
Speaking after witnessing the vaccination process for frontliners at the UITM-MSC in Sungai Buloh, she said the Health Ministry so far had allocated 22,018 doses of the vaccine to the university hospitals for administration to their frontliners. The decision whether to send Malaysian pilgrims for the Hajj season this year depends on the approval of the Saudi Arabian government in the COVID-19 situation. And Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Religious Affairs, Dato Dr. Zulkifli Muhammad Al-Bakri, said he would always keep in touch with the Saudi Arabian government and to get updates on the latest developments relating to the matter.
Sebagai sebuah kerajaan, kita hendak terima satu keputusan rasmi. Saya dengan Menteri Hajinya hantar surat apa syarat-syarat, kita akan patuhi dan kita bersedia.
On whether or not Malaysian pilgrims would be given priority to receive the COVID-19 vaccine once the Hajj approval is received, Dato Dr. Zulkifli said the matter would be discussed at the cabinet meeting. Saudi Arabian Health Minister Dr. Taufiq Al-Rabia was previously reported to have said only people who have been vaccinated against COVID-19 will be allowed to perform the Hajj this year. However, he did not mention whether pilgrims from outside Saudi Arabia were allowed to perform the Hajj pilgrimage. Last year, the Saudi Arabian government reduced the number of pilgrims to 1,000 to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, through the National Digital Infrastructure Plan, Jendela, is in the process of resolving issues on internet access reported at several locations in the country. Well, they are included at Kampung Orang Asli Sungai Belangkan in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Kampung Orang Asli Lakai in Jelebu, Negeri Sembilan, Kampung Sungai Cengkeh in Pontian, Johor, and Melana Indah People's Housing Project, Tampoi, Johor. Now, MCMC, in a statement today, said investigation found that the Orang Asli students of the Mahmeri tribe in Kuala Langan had problems following the home-based teaching and learning, or PDPR, session due to poor internet access as their houses are in the remote areas. It said a coverage test was conducted late last month, which found that the quality of the cellular coverage at the complainant's house was unsatisfactory. Well, for the Orang Asli village in Jalubu, it said the area was found without 4G internet access, following which the use of very small aperture terminal or VSAT technology would be implemented and scheduled to be completed by end of this year. Now, for the case in Tampoi, MCMC said efforts to improve the optimization of the signal strength would be made as a short-term solution and is expected to be completed in the first quarter of this year. Meanwhile, in Kampung Sungai Cengkeh, Celcom and U-Mobile are making improvements to the substation since last 24th February to improve the quality of 4G coverage in the area. And for the long-term solution, a new tower will be built under Jendela with the work scheduled to begin end of the year. Coming up, driver involved in SUKE highway incident investigated for driving under drug influence. Well, the driver of a trailer who drove into a flyover still under construction along the Sungai Besi Ulu Klang Elevated Expressway, or SUKE, yesterday is being investigated for driving under the influence of drugs after 2 people died in the crash. Well, Kuala Lumpur Traffic Investigations and Enforcement Department Chief Assistant Commissioner Zulkifli Yahya said a urine test from the 40-year-old driver from Sungai Siput, Perak returned positive for methamphetamine. Well, the urine test was conducted at the Dang Wangi Police Headquarters after the incident. Well, elaborating further in a statement released, ACP Zulkifli said that the case is being investigated under Section 44 subsection 1 of the Road Transport Act for driving under the influence. He said initial investigations showed the trailer, which was transporting an excavator, had collided with a pedestrian bridge steel frame at the construction site along the Middle Ring Road 2, or MRR2, near Desa Tun Razak Cheras around 6 p.m. yesterday. The iron scaffolding and the frame collapsed onto the road and top of a van incoming from Ampang during the evening rush hour. 2 women in their 40s, identified as Nurina Edwin Abdullah and Nur Hayati Abdullah, in the van were crushed to death, while 3 others in the same vehicle were seriously wounded. ACP Zulkifli said the survivors were a 47-year-old van driver from Gombak who suffered fractures to his left shoulder, swelling of the lungs and internal bleeding, and the other 2 passengers, who were women aged 54 and 51, had injuries to their legs. He said all 5 in the van were on their way to work at a factory located in USJ1 Subang Jaya. Three individuals, including a married couple, were arrested by the police for allegedly using fake Dato and Datin titles. Malacca Police Chief Dato Abdul Majid Muhammad Ali said the suspects, aged between 43 and 57, were also believed to be part of an unrecognized organization known as the Congregation of Datos, or GDMM, which has been active for the last 2 years. Explaining further, Dato Abdul Majid said the coalition held an investiture ceremony at a leading hotel in Malacca in August last year. He said about 120 people attended the ceremony, including the recipients of the fake honorary datoship. The recipients had misused their bogus honorary titles to solicit for businesses and mislead the public.
Inilah kes yang pertama di Malaysia. Kontingen Melaka merupakan kontingen yang pertama di Malaysia yang menggunakan Akta Anugerah Tidak Sah 2017-2017 untuk mengambil tindakan ke atas individu yang mempunyai gelaran darjah kebesaran, sama ada daripada Persekutuan Negeri yang palsu, terutama yang contoh dia yang dapat daripada negara-negara jiran yang tidak sah lah.
Dato Abdul Majid said the 3 suspects were detained in Bangi, Selangor on 30th January to assist in the investigation under Section 12, Subsection 2 of the offences relating to Award 2017, Act 786. The Act stated that only awards at the state level bestowed by the Sultan, Raja or Yang di-Pertuan Negeri from 13 states in Malaysia are recognized and can be used for official business. Well, 12 individuals, including a woman involved in an online Macau scam syndicate, was detained in a series of raids by PDRM on 28 February. The suspects were arrested in Cheras following a raid at their premise in Kota Tinggi, Johor on 2nd February. Johor Police Chief Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Pichai said the suspects aged between 22 and 33 years old are currently being remanded for 21 days until 21st March under the Section 1 of Prevention of Crime Act 1959. Further investigations revealed that the syndicate's modus operandi was to claim to be officers from Pos Laju through phone calls to dupe the victims.
Ini tuan-tuan yang kita tangkap ni adalah mirror account, ahli sindiket memegang mirror account. Sebab tu operasi kita buat di Kota Tinggi. Tapi hasil daripada tu kita dapat tangkap dia orang ni dekat Ceras, tuan-tuan. Dengan bantuan polis KL lah.
Police also confiscated 57 mobile phones, a set of computers and 2 modems. The Johor branch of the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry, KPDN-HEP, seized 940 cartons of health products worth 1.89 million ringgit in a raid on a premise in Kempas yesterday. Well, according to State KPDN-HEP Director Muhammad Hairul Anwar Bohrol, the 4 p.m. raid was carried out by 10 enforcement officers following a public complaint regarding a direct sales business suspected to be unregistered.
Syarikat telah beroperasi semenjak tahun 2018 dan edaran kalau lihat ni dia berasaskan kepada barang kesihatan dan edarannya boleh katakan di seluruh negara dan syarikat ni dia ibu pejabat di Johor Bahru.
Muhammad Hairul Anwar added that the products were believed to be manufactured, packaged in the country and priced between 100 and 105 ringgit per box to be sold nationwide through various methods. He said during the raid there were 5 workers at the premise and their statements were recorded to assist in the investigation without being detained by the authorities. He said that running an unregistered direct sales business is an offence under Section 4 of the Direct Sales and Anti-Pyramid Scheme Act 1993. Members of the public are advised to always be careful and to check the background of the company first before participating in any activities or direct sales business to avoid falling victim to fraud. An unemployed man pleaded not guilty at the Kuantan Magistrates Court today to a charge with driving under the influence of alcohol, which resulted in an accident causing the death of a factory worker on Monday. The accused, Mandev Singh, 26, made the plea before Magistrate Nur Izzati Zakaria. Well, Mandev was charged with drink driving while at the wheel of an MPV. Judge Nur Izzati also ordered for Mandev Singh's driving license to be suspended pending disposal of the case and also for him to surrender his passport to the court. The court set 23rd April for remention and document submission. Well, Utama Multimodal Logistics Sendirian Berhad, UML, is collaborating with MyJet Express Sendirian Berhad, or MyJet, to offer a prioritized air freight service between Peninsular Malaysia and Sabah and Sarawak. With 20 flights a week to Kuching, Kota Kinabalu and Tawau, the collaboration offers flexibility to UML's target industry customers. Well, the collaboration affords UML another dedicated service to their pharmaceutical and medical device customers after having also deployed an in-house validated climate control box which can store products in multiple temperature profiles for periods of between 24 to 48 hours. This is an adequate amount of time to safely transport any pharmaceutical products such as blood plasma, vaccines and insulin to anywhere in Malaysia. As part of this partnership, MyJet has invested in a special unit load device, or ULD, exclusively dedicated to UML's pharmaceutical and medical device customers. 1 million ringgit will also be allocated to advance the development of pharmaceutical and medical devices specialist logistics. UML is a pharmaceutical supply chain management company that provides transport services, innovative solutions and constructive consultation to the pharmaceutical industry, while MyJet has been operating Boeing cargo aircrafts in Malaysia and regionally since 2009. Coming up in sports, Prime Minister wishes good luck for opening match of the Malaysian League tomorrow. Well, Prime Minister Tan Sri Yassin wishes the best for local football club Johor Darul Takzim, or JDT, and Kedah Darul Aman FC, who will be playing the opening match of the Malaysian League tomorrow. Well, he expressed the same hope for all other clubs that will subsequently be competing in the Super League and Premier League in the 2021 season.
Saya ingin mengucapkan selamat maju jaya pada kedua-dua pasukan. Saya juga nak mengucapkan selamat maju jaya kepada semua pasukan yang akan terlibat dalam Liga Super dan juga Liga Premier yang akan bermula Sabtu ini.
The AM League will begin tomorrow night with the clash between JDT and KDA FC at Stadium Sultan Ibrahim Iskandar Putri. Meanwhile, the Premier also hinted that local football fans may soon be allowed back in the stadium to provide support to their respective teams. According to Tan Sri Muhyiddin, spectators may be permitted to do so in regulated numbers and a limited scale if the COVID-19 cases in the country can be effectively controlled. Heading indoors with national top men's singles shuttler Li Zijia has cleared his first round obstacle to get into the next round of the 2021 Swiss Open badminton tournament. Also advancing to the second round of men's pair Go Vi Shem and Tan Wee Keong, as well as Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik. Zijia, seeded second in the season-opening tournament, had little trouble to eliminate Russian Sergei Siran 21-12, 21-14 in 37 minutes at the St. Jakobshal Basel to set up a clash against Viktor Svensson in the second round. The 22-year-old Kadahan-born is currently on a mission to redeem himself after an underwhelming performance at 3 championships in Bangkok recently. Meanwhile, Vishem and Wee Keong carried forward their excellent momentum by defeating Denmark pair Daniel Lundgaard and Matthias Thyri 21-17, 21-11. The third-seeded pair are set to encounter German duo Mark Lamfers and Marvin Seidel in the next round. Top seeds Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik also advanced to the second round by beating New Zealand's Oliver Leyden Davis and Abhinav Manota 21-13, 21-15 to face Jeppe Bay and Lasse Mulher of Denmark. And 4 times Formula One world champion Sebastian Vettel said he felt he had nothing to prove ahead of the Formula One season. Well, the German, who has moved from Ferrari to Aston Martin, formerly known as Racing Point, possesses a keen sense of F1 history and said he knows his own capabilities. Meanwhile, Aston Martin say they can't give Vettel what he wants this season as he starts afresh after recent struggles at Ferrari. Vettel also revealed he was against a proposal for the replacement of regular qualifying at selected Grand Prix weekends into sprint races, saying it made no sense to him. Vettel said Grand Prix had always been around 300 kilometers as the main challenge of the weekend and suggested the problem was elsewhere. The change is aimed at creating more excitement through increased track action. Formula One teams are generally supportive of the idea, with one Friday practice session becoming qualifying for Saturday and points awarded for the sprint race as well as the main one. However, they agreed last month on a working group to investigate further with the aim of reaching a final decision before the start of the season in Bahrain on 28 March. And the world of football, Schalke 04 appointed Dimitrios Gramosis as head coach on a contract to 2022, days after sacking Christian Gross, with the club currently anchored at the bottom of the Bundesliga. 42-year-old Gramosis is a former Bundesliga player and Greece youth international who has only coached clubs in the lower league so far, including most recently second division Darmstadt 98, is the club's 5th coach this season. Schalke on Sunday sacked Swiss manager Gross, his assistant and several club officials, including sports director Jochen Schneider, in sweeping changes following their 5-1 loss at VfB Stuttgart in the Bundesliga on Saturday. Gramosis succeeds 66-year-old Gross, with Schalke also having been coached by David Wagner, Manuel Baum and briefly Hub Stevens this season. Schalke prop up the league on 9 points from 23 games, 9 behind 16th spot that leads to a relegation playoff place. Well, that concludes this edition of News at 10. In our top story, 1.9 million Malaysians already registered for COVID-19 vaccinations. Well, join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Until then, I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.